There's a new border crisis. Just came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, there's a border crisis. The mayor of DC, what's her name? Bowser? Bauer? I don't know her name. I can't even look it up. Can't research it. It's not researchable. Anyway, she wants the army to go up to DC to help her deal with the illegals that Texas and Florida are sending up there to DC and New York. But when they were here, or when they are here, because we deal with thousands and thousands per day, she lost it over 4,000 total. They were all inclusive. When it's other states and other cities and other counties that have to deal with this stuff. All inclusive.
The District of Columbia is one step closer to being a sanctuary city. The council unanimously approved the Sanctuary Values Act of 2020 that limits local law enforcement's cooperation with federal immigration agencies. So what does this all mean? Well, with this bill, police will not have to comply with ICE without a court order.
They're just here to work, and you know, for the most part it's true, but that doesn't mean you just let anybody in. Because common sense says, hey, that's going to impact the poor in your community. But everyone up north, on the north and east coast, it's very easy to make these proclamations about how good these people are and how we have a responsibility to take care of these people and bring them in and allow them in. They're the backbone of our society. Very easy when they're not in your city. As soon as they got in her city, all of a sudden, this is not fair, and Texas and Florida are sending these people to us. I thought you wanted them. They're going to be the backbone of DC, I promise. I promise you. They're not taking away resources from your poor people. I promise you. So all of a sudden, she needs military there to help with this crisis. Now it's a crisis again. It's not a crisis when it's somebody else's problem. It's only a crisis when it's hers. Same thing with New York. What's the new governor's name or mayor? I don't know who he is. Mayor? You guys got a new governor? I don't know. Again, I can't research this stuff. He's complaining about all the illegals being sent there and saying it's not fair and it's a dirty trick.
These states are sending people to New York without any communication or coordination. Fact. So I'm just not clear on what legal aid believe we are doing that is blaming anyone. We're saying we're going to do our job as New Yorkers, but we do need help.
For now, in addition to the Street Homeless Advocacy Project, any New Yorker who sees someone in need of assistance can call 311.
But you wanted them. You embraced them. So take them. When Texas and Florida start sending the illegals that you guys celebrate to you, we'll keep celebrating them. Don't tell your people, hey, this is going to hurt us all. Why is it going to hurt? If this is a good thing for society, this is a good thing for New York, why are you saying it's going to hurt every block?
This is a real burden on New Yorkers as we're trying to do the right thing. We already, as I stated, we already have an overburdened shelter system. So now we're talking about, as you stated, food, clothing, school. This is going to impact our schools because we do not turn away individuals because they're undocumented. Translation services. There's just a whole host of things that this is going to produce, and that's why we need help in getting this done, and we need the right coordination to make it happen.
I don't understand that. It's a good thing. Why are you talking about it hurting? All of a sudden, the all-inclusive people are talking about the pain that it's going to cause their cities. Because at first it was a dirty trick. They're tricking people into coming. They're tricking people to get on buses so they can send them here.
The Washington Post reported last week that homeless shelters in D.C. were filling up, and groups are getting overwhelmed by these buses that the governors of Texas and Arizona are sending here full of migrants. How significant is this influx? How many people?
Well, this is a very significant issue. We have for sure called on the federal government to work across state lines to prevent people from really being tricked into getting on buses. We think they're largely asylum seekers who are going to final destinations that are not Washington, D.C. I worked with the White House to make sure that FEMA provided a grant to a local organization that is providing services to folks. But I fear that they're being tricked into nationwide bus trips when their final destinations are places all over the United States of America.
No, you said you wanted them, so we're giving them to you. It's not a dirty trick. It's honoring your virtue signaling.
Well, local taxpayers are not picking up the tab and should not pick up the tab. And we really need a coordinated federal response. We know that it's done for refugees who come to the States from all points of the world, and the same has to be done in this situation.
What's wrong with that? All of a sudden, we need the National Guard. We need the military. I think she said the Army. I don't know what they're going to start doing. Going to start doing maneuvers? Going to start shooting people? What do you need the Army for?
She's proposing using the D.C. Armory as a processing center for the migrants and then asking the National Guard, D.C.'s National Guard, to step in finding the next step for these migrants.
We need the federal government to be involved. So I've asked for the deployment of the Guard, as long as we need the Guard to deal with a humanitarian crisis that we expect to escalate. The number of people crossing the border seeking asylum, we expect to only go up. And we need to make sure that there is a national response.
Now, one of the key groups that's helping migrants strongly opposes the plan. In a statement to WUSA 9, Sanctuary DMV and their larger network said, quote, refugees to D.C. have been traumatized enough already. They need to be met with comfort and warmth, not a military presence.
It's fascinating stuff. It's fascinating how quickly people say, whoa, 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 not in our neighborhood. Why are you sending them here? Well, you wanted us to keep them. Take them. We get hundreds of thousands a week or a month. Yeah, hundreds of thousands a month here. You get 4,000 and you're calling for the Army. It's so great. And they don't understand what's wrong. They don't understand what's coming out of their mouth. It sounds pretty racist to me. I could have sworn when we talked about militarizing the border, I'm pretty sure I remember them calling it racist. Pretty sure. What was the coverage on MSNBC and NBC and CNN? What was the coverage about all those dead illegal immigrants from that trailer or that truck? There's over 50.
39 men and 12 women are among the dead. However, officials say some of those victims may be teenagers. At last check, at least 13 people being treated in several local hospitals. The Night Team's John Paul Barajas with the latest.
A memorial site is now located where authorities found an 18-wheeler with 62 migrants inside. 46 of them pronounced dead on scene. As the criminal investigation continues, people are coming to pay their respects.
What was their coverage like? What was their coverage like? Because the Democrat Party loves illegals. But what's ironic about that is the only way illegals get here is through human trafficking So they're literally making the argument for human trafficking. Government-sanctioned human trafficking. We need these people here. Okay, cool. We need them trafficked here. How else they're gonna get here? Because they can't come by themselves. You guys realize that, right? The little armbands that they find on all the dead bodies, those represent how much money they owe the cartels. You can't, if you're an illegal and you're in Mexico, you can't just sneak across. If they catch you, they'll kill you. Because you have to pay your tax to go through wherever you're going through on that border. There's a cartel that runs that hole, that path. That journey is allowed by cartels. You can't just come across because you're trying to feed your family. No, you have to pay. Democrats are okay with that. Leftists are really okay with the human trafficking aspect of it. But how else are they going to get here? What's funny is they say how bad this country is and how racist this country is. And then when people are dying to get here, they ignore why they're dying to get here. So they're dying to get to the racism and the sexism and the phobes, all the phobes you guys make up. You're okay with human trafficking. Just come out and say it. It's the only way they get here. With their little caravans or their giant caravans. That's all human trafficking. They have to pay to get here. And they're paying drug dealers and actually just drug cartels, murderers. Straight up murderers and drug dealers. But you guys miss out on all the rape stories. I guess that's not important for the greater good of you being able to say, hey, I support them. Just okay with women getting raped, little girls getting raped. You're okay with all that.
You had a bill or an amendment recently that talked about increasing penalties for child sex trafficking, defeated in committee by members on the other side of the aisle. I can't imagine why they would be against increasing penalties for child sex trafficking. So let me start there, and I got a couple other questions for you though as well.
Yeah, I mean, the scourge of moving human beings for profit, while the cartels are getting paid thousands of dollars to put these little girls and little boys into the sex trafficking trade, to be put in stash houses in Houston, Texas, San Antonio, Texas, all along the border. And for me to offer an amendment that simply says we ought to raise those penalties and have every one of my Democratic colleagues in the House Judiciary Committee vote against that tells you everything you need to know about the seriousness and the lack of resolve that they have to actually deal with this issue squarely. They don't care about having open borders. They don't care about what that does to Americans. They don't care about what that does to migrants. They want to pat themselves on the back in the false name of compassion that they like brown people, when it is brown people in South Texas who are bearing the brunt of wide open borders. And you know what? There's a lot of brown people in South Texas that are being tired or taken for granted by a Democratic Party that likes to claim the mantle of, compassion while they allow people to die.
And then when they get here and they rape a 9-year-old, we'll make this story about abortion, not the fact that an illegal alien raped a 9-year-old. We won't say that. We won't talk about that aspect of the story because we really want to talk about Roe v. Wade. Think about that for a second. Why was the story about an abortion and not about an illegal alien who raped a 9-year-old? Isn't that a weird story?
Tonight, an Ohio man is under arrest, charged in the rape of a 10-year-old girl whose case made national headlines. Authorities saying that girl went to another state, Indiana, to get an abortion. Ohio instituting a ban on nearly all abortions after 6 weeks, with no exceptions for rape following the overturning of Roe v. Wade.
The charge is rape, felony of the first degree, under 13 years old.
The 27-year-old suspect, who authorities say is undocumented, arraigned in a Columbus courtroom today, prosecutors saying he admitted to having sexual contact with the girl. The Ohio Attorney General issuing a statement saying, "My heart aches for the pain suffered by this young child. Justice must be served, and the Bureau of Criminal Investigation stands ready to support law enforcement across Ohio putting these criminals behind bars." Last month, the girl's mother reporting to Child Services that her daughter was pregnant.
The victim went out of state to have a medically terminated abortion.
The story making headlines worldwide after the young girl traveled from Ohio to Indianapolis, Indiana for an abortion.
Is it weird how it was phrased? She had to go to another state to get an abortion. Well, first of all, no, she didn't, because she had just turned 10 years old. She's not capable of giving birth. So that was going to happen regardless. She didn't have to travel out of Ohio to do it. How did an illegal get into Ohio? Why is our justice system housing this guy for the rest of his life now? But hey, she got raped for the greater good of a story about abortion, because that's what we really wanted to talk about. So much so that we didn't even bring up the fact that it was an illegal alien who raped her. We'll make it about her having to get an abortion. No, that was a life-saving procedure because of a heinous act by an illegal who should not have been here. We're going to pretend he should have been here, and that's all good and normal, so we can tell a whole different narrative. A narrative full of crime. Illegal entry into the country. Illegal contact with a minor. No big deal. Don't worry about that. What we really want to talk about. Yeah, but the abortion. And the doctor who put that story out not only should have her license taken away, she should be in prison. She should be in prison. Not for performing an abortion, because it had nothing to do with abortion. And she knew it had nothing to do with abortion. But she wanted to tell a leftist narrative. And she did. All power to her. I hope she ends up in prison. Because first of all, she violated HIPAA laws. Second of all, that story should have gone straight to, I believe it was the sheriff's. I don't remember exactly who. I don't know who has jurisdiction over it. That was a federal crime. I don't know who had jurisdiction of. But the report should have been about, hey, this little kid was raped. I know who it was by because she told me who it was by. And they covered up the story for like 2 days. Like, well, wait a minute, this story can't be real then. People started literally saying, yeah, this story's not real, this is fake. We would know, because there's no way that people wouldn't report that a grown man raped a child. There's no way they would do that, would they? Well, turns out, yeah, they covered it up. They finally caught the guy, and he admitted it. Where you from? Ohio.